Welcome, everyone. I could not tell you how excited I was for this session. It's a pretty amazing thing to get to work with women like Emily and Misty. It brings me a lot of joy in my life, but also just to be able to come to the two of them and say, hey, this is a session. I think, we've got to teach it. We've got to bring it to the world in this moment. And there's no one I'd rather have it teach it than the two of these women. And so for those of you who don't know Emily and Misty, they are not only amazing marketing and branding experts, but they are women that I'm lucky enough to call my friends. Emily and I met more recently. Emily and I met a little over a year ago as part of Elevate, which is an amazing alliance created by Sarah Elliott to connect women and entrepreneurs. Misty's a part of it too, but Misty and I already knew each other. And Emily was the brand expert who was hanging around, and I just love anyone who has a creative approach to branding. And so I was so inspired by her work and then got to know her personally, which was amazing. And Misty and I go way, 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 way back. So at my first ever accounting conference, I was like an absolute infant child, and I saw Misty at that accounting conference, and I was like, if I can grow up to be like Misty one day, then we'll be accomplishing great things. So I love these women dearly, and I will let them introduce themselves, but we're here to talk today about marketing with a mission. And, I think that there's something about the cultural moment we're living through right now that has brought a lot of our values a lot stronger to the surface. And it's really changed the ways that we're thinking about how we're marketing, particularly as business. There's a lot of topics that brands didn't used to talk about or incorporate into the ways that they were sharing and showing up in the world. And we're seeing that change really, really rapidly in the current cultural climate. And so that is why I wanted us to be talking about it. And I'm just honored for these two women. So Emily, will you introduce yourself first, because you're on the top of my screen, and then we'll go to Misty.
Sure. Hi, everyone. It's so good to be with you. As Madeline said, my name is Emily Soccorsy, and I am the co-founder of Root and River. We believe at Root and River that every great brand is a spiritual experience. And not only do we believe that at Root and River, but I believe that in my heart. And I'm so excited to bring that to you today. The spirit is really how we move about in the world. And it's the energy that we produce, and it's deeply connected to our mission and our joy. And overjoyed to be here with Misty today. Today I'll be sharing with you a lot of those ideas about spirit and mission and how to make marketing and the way you put yourself out there in the world more authentic and genuine to what you really want to do and where you really want to be. But that comes from a background of journalism, comes from a background of corporate communications, comes from a background of being an only daughter and having three brothers and learning how to fight to get my voice heard. So I bring all of that to bear to you today, and just so excited to be here. Thanks for having us.
I'm just thank you everyone for showing up. We are over the moon that you are spending time with us. That's a blessing in itself. These two women, we talk about joyful marketing, which is kind of the topic today, along with the marketing with a mission, and really finding those people that when you leave the conversation, you're more energized than when you started it. And these two women are the epitome of that for me. And I'm so lucky to have a squad full of females that are just powerhouse, rock stars. So I'm just excited to be here. Misty Megia and my company actually helps women have confidence in delivering anything. I started it because I have been working on virtual events with speakers for years. I've been a speaker for cities, for companies, you name it. And I always noticed that when we did a call for papers, women were like this percentage of the people that raised their hand and said, hey, I can speak. And that was just driving me crazy, because I know you all have messages to give and to help the next generation of women learn what you already know and give a hand up. So my complete mission is to help give you a voice and a seat at that table and know that you have major value to add. So that's what I do. and I am just thrilled to be here. If you don't mind, I'm going to dive in. Is that okay,
Oh
Madeline?
yeah, keys
All
to
right.
the kingdom are officially yours. I'm in student mode. Got my notebook here. Let's go.
Oh, good. We're going to do a kind of workshop-y thing today. So definitely, get ready for some writing. But I would like to start by asking just internal questions, not for you to be in chat. But how many of you have at least one colleague or peer that does energize you when you speak to them? You just leave feeling immense joy and happiness. And if you want to raise your hand, go yay, or you want to type in chat, yay. Imagine duplicating that. Like, imagine every interaction that you have with a client, with a peer, is just like full of immense light shifting joy. It is 100% possible. And I know we all have or have had those clients that you, as soon as an email pops up of, can we talk? You're like, oh, yeah, okay. Like, let's get rid of those ones and let's just have our plate full of things. I can't tell you, running my own business now, how I almost feel guilty how happy I am at the end of the day, because I'm just like, I'm having too much fun. This is clearly not work right now. So I'm able to let go of that guilt and just go, no, I am building a business of my dreams. I will tell you, a handful of years ago, I was asked by T-Sheets to come up for a cup of coffee, which I didn't know was their phrase for going, we're going to try to recruit you. So even though I didn't drink coffee, I flew to Boise to have a meeting with them. And they were chatting with me and talking about how they could not go past the 9,000 customer mark. There's we have been at this 9,000 customer mark. We're losing people, we're gaining people, we're losing people, we're gaining people. And my first question to them was well, who's your target audience? Who are you really focused on? And they said, everyone. Everybody needs time tracking. And I was like, do they? No, they don't. And so I pushed back on them and I said, I think honestly, if you really hone in on the people that get your message, get who you are, you will resonate with them to the core. And so we'd spend a whole day brainstorming about what their brand was, who their ideal customer should be. And then they did a good job and they pitched me and I went and worked for them. But in that first year of me working for them and with them on that, we grew that 9,000 mark that they couldn't get over to 33,000 customers. And it was really because we were extremely intentional about who we were wanting to attract. I mean, they would have shirts that say I'm a badass on the back of them, right? That isn't for everybody. Some people were very offended by that. Great, you're not the right customer fit. So when you go out and you start resonating with these people and they get you, our booth was filled with all of these customers that were hugging us nonstop for entire conferences, just going, oh my God, I love you guys. Can I have another shirt? I want to be a badass. I'm a badass. And I'm like, yes. Because we were so focused on bringing the right people to us. It's attracting the right people as opposed to you having to go out and search and go, are you my right fit? Are you my right fit? Your marketing and your messaging and your branding all of a sudden just goes, that's for me. And they opt in versus you having to do this hunt and gather method. So today we are going to dive into some of those questions and what you should be thinking about. Note that this is the season right now for most corporations to start thinking about their business planning if they're on the calendar year. You start in September, really kind of honing your messages and who you want to target. So if you are starting your business planning, I spent my Labor Day weekend starting mine and doing my research because I'm a geek like that. I was like, 3 days, yay, I could do business planning. So this is the very top level of your business plan, really understanding your purpose, what you want to attract, who you want to attract, and we'll be diving into those messages today. This is just a little note on marketing and happiness. It is a proven fact that when you have happiness, it improves your physical health. It brings these moments of just clarity. Your blood pressure evens, even though with these women, I think it goes up because I'm just so excited. But it increases your lifespan. There is so many benefits to living a joyful life. And when you have all of those right people in your puzzle adding to your joyful life, it is exponential. So I know Emily's going to lead us through some lovely meditation to kind of get us started.
Yes, thank you, Misty. So today, as Misty said, we're going to dive in and we're going to go deep. So we thought it would be great to begin with something that can just kind of center us, and we can use that joy and the energy that you're feeling from Misty, but also that we can root into a little bit of our internal compasses. So with that in mind, I would like for everybody, you don't have to close your eyes if you're not comfortable, but if you'd like to close your eyes with me and take 3 deep breaths. And as you breathe, I want you to think about expanding into that lower belly. As you breathe, pushing that breath all the way out till you reach the bottom of that breath. And in, and pushing out. And one more in breath. And one more out breath. And just stay there for a moment as I read. Somewhere along the way, we became obsessed with the new, preoccupied with breaking ground and never repeating ourselves. Yet, the ocean reveals its power and mystery by repeating its waves around the world. Nature replenishes the earth by repeating the cycle of the seasons. And we suffer and fall in love, learn and forget, go numb and reawaken in the repetition of our human seasons. Ironically, the lessons of life come from inhabiting the authentic cycles of experience. We all struggle with this tension between our obsession with making things new and the wisdom that comes from re-entering life as many times as necessary in order for it to reveal its secrets. How many times do we run from those we love because we insist on finding something new when we're often being asked to live more deeply where we are? The same can be said for our work in the world. How often do we abandon what has meaning because we think we're bored when we're actually being asked to penetrate the habit of work in order to unearth the very center of our calling? When we hide, nothing seems possible. When we come forth, everything seems possible. One more deep breath. Expanding in. Releasing. Thank you, everyone. If you're curious, that is from Mark Nepo, who is amazing. The Book of Soul is on my bedside table right now, and it's just incredible. I could cry just thinking about how meaningful it is. Really wanted to highlight that today because there's this, we often get into those cycles of I'm going to figure this out and I'm going to conquer this. And what I found we really need to do is instead just come in, dig into what we know to be true. And I think there's some great nuggets in there. Letting secrets be revealed and knowing how our habit of work is going to play out is really about unearthing the very center of our calling. So that's what we're going to do today, or try to do.
No, I love the, like for some reason, and people in chat can respond what connected with them, but I loved the living more deeply where you are. Right? It's really about, and for you, like that root and river, like really going down into your roots.
Yes.
And just claiming your space, right?
I wrote that down. That was like my quote that I'm like, we have a little quote board and I'm like, that's one's gonna go up there for sure.
Yes. Yeah. It's very easy to get pulled to the exterior world, right? To get trapped in that idea that Misty brought up earlier, like I gotta attract people and do all of the things, and I can't get past this limit. You know, in Misty's story about T-Sheets, it was 9,000 users, but we all do that, right? We all we set these invisible barriers for ourselves. And it's not about conquering, it's about letting it be revealed. So we are going to have you use, Madeline just mentioned she wrote down something in her notebook. So if you have a piece of paper or a journal handy, definitely grab it. Even if it's the other day, I took all notes during my calls on sticky notes. Why I don't. Whatever it is you've got handy, go ahead and grab it. And hopefully you have a clearer mind right now after that little moment of Zen. And an ability, this is what we're asking from everyone today, is an ability to tap into your dreams. So marketing and branding, it's all actually very creative. We tend to get stuck in the idea that it's work or it's like really effort. There's a ton of effort. There's so many things and places and venues that we have to be. But today I want to invite you into the idea that it's just a joyful, creative exercise that's going to spring from something deep within you. So that's the ability. That will give you an ability to hopefully tap into your dreams. And definitely let me know if there's anything else that popped up from that meditation. But with that in mind, I think are we ready? Let's do it.
Let's dive in. So you will need a writing instrument. So if you don't have one close by, make sure you have it. You'll need a journal or a piece of paper or something, unless you're writing it on your desk, which, hey, permanent ink, fine. Your message will always be in front of you. Now that we have a lovely, clear mind from Emily and we're on that mission, just make sure you're ready to tap into some of your dreams. So exercise 1.
All right. So we want you to create well, you can draw, if you've got a big piece of paper, draw 3 columns. Draw them all the way down. And at the top of the first column, you want to jot down or write down this question verbatim. What are your non-negotiable beliefs? Another way to say that is the values that you hold most dear. So in our work at Root and River, we really work to hone these non-negotiables into one word. So for us at Root and River, it's beauty, defiance, love, mission, and I can't remember. It'll come back to me. But that's not, if you can't get to one word right now, that's perfectly fine. Just sort of give a couple list, 3 to 5 would be great, of your most dearly held beliefs. And we use the term non-negotiable pretty intentionally. So these are things that you can't really fudge on. Like at Root and River, you got to believe in love, because if you don't believe in love, you won't be successful in the work. We won't be good partners. You won't be a good client. You got to believe in beauty, because we believe that we have to infuse beauty into everything we do, and that's an essential part of branding. You also have to believe in defiance. That's non-negotiable for us. You've got to be able to be willing to push back against ideas and to challenge things. So those are some examples of beliefs that we hold dear. So what are your non-negotiables? Things that you will absolutely not compromise on. And list about 3 to 5 of those would be great. If you got more, fine.
I'm going to put on a 2-minute timer just to give people some time.
Awesome. Let's do it.
Great.
And as you're having those ahas too, Misty asked you in the chat, so feel free to chime in the chat if you felt compelled to share what's showing up for you.
Yes, for right now, Bernice is asking, we're just focusing on this left column.
And we have 10 seconds, so if you can start wrapping up those thoughts. 2, 1.
Good job, everyone. Well done, even if you just doodled in the column. Okay. All right, so let's move to the middle column, column 2. In this list, I want you to list the things that bring you the most joy. So these are the things that you maybe lose track of time when you're doing them. It's the end of Misty's day. Like, you feel infused with happiness when you get there. They're the things you want to do first. If you've got a list of things to do, you're like, oh, I really want to do that. You feel drawn to it, and they are energy positive activities. So really focus on, as you're thinking of these, 3 to 5 to 7, however many activities, really think about how they make you feel, and that'll be a good way to weed them out. And we'll do another 2 minutes on this.
We have 10 seconds left, so if you can wrap it up. Is it okay that I put breakfast on there?
Sure, absolutely. All the joyous things.
I was looking, like, just even looking at the list was sparking joy for me because having my own company lets me do all these things all the time. So it was like writing, teaching, training, speaking, creating new things, brainstorming, strategizing, leading. And I was like, I'm getting to do all those things today.
Awesome. Awesome.
Be happy.
I have a very similar list, except mine has breakfast.
Plus breakfast. All right, now let's move on to our last column. This one's a bit of a switch up. So in this column, what I want you to do is get in touch with some of your righteous indignation. So what vexes you? And I think vexes is a great word here. I'm a word nerd, and so it gives me a lot of joy to use the word vexes. What vexes you most about your industry? So what bothers you? What makes you, oh, I can't stand that? And I mean, vexes is strong, but you know, things that you're like consistently agitated about your space. Maybe it's about business in general. It's fine to widen out, but particularly in your industry, in your space, what are the things that really drive you nuts? And you have permission to crab and complain in this column. Go ahead and spend a couple minutes listing out 5 to 7. If you got more, pour them into it. 5 to 7 things that vex you about your industry. All right.
And we're at 10 seconds, so if you can wrap up those thoughts. I love, Gina, that your granddaughter just ran up and asked if you put crystals in your list. I love that she's listening. Hopefully she's bringing some joy.
That's great. That's great. All right. Good. All right. So you've got these 3 columns filled with so much intelligence. So on the left side, you really got, hopefully, a few things that are your anchors, that are your inner truth. And on the far right side, you've got a little bit of righteous indignation, but also perhaps a roadmap to things that you feel compelled to change in the world. So it's a beautiful list, or all the lists are beautiful, but here's what we'd like you to do with it right now. So we want you to look through the list, and we'll just take a minute or so after I'm done kind of explaining it. I want you to have an eye for opportunity here. So what connections between the lists do you see? Do you see, for example, my list, I love beauty, and drawing gives me so much joy. And what vexes me about my industry is when it's just a lack of creativity when it comes to bringing language and art together. And so those 3 things kind of connect. So what I want you to do is look through these 3 lists. If you want to circle or draw some lines, just go ahead and kind of this. There's no real mission here other than just to open your eyes, look at it, dream a little bit, see where there might be a connection or two between the 3 columns or amongst them. I'll give you just a couple minutes to do that.
And we're at 10 seconds there.
And if you haven't found any connections, it's okay. Maybe something will come up in the discussion.
All right, and that's time.
All right, so this is where we are asking for some bravery. Is there anyone who would like to share, whether you want to share in chat? Madeline, can we do voice share or audio share or just in chat?
I think unless I move people to hosting position, so let's just do the chat for
Great. So just take a few seconds here to let us know what you found. Did you find any connections? You can just list them out if you'd like, or if you had an aha about your list, what was there? And as kind of people are doing that, ladies, was there anything that kind of came up for you in this process?
Yeah, it was kind of wild to see how what I really see as like some core values here on the non-negotiable side are directly linked to things on the things that vex me. Like I have this big belief, and we really spot this in the ethos of our brand, that entrepreneurship and education are essential on the path to equality. And that all comes from my frustrations of like false thought leaders and people who are out there being a little bit snake oily. That shit drives me crazy. And so I want to make sure that there's a good alternative to that actually is empowering people. So that definitely came up for me. Yeah.
Great.
I love that, Madeline.
How did you feel when you like saw that connection? Like what was the emotion?
It was like, oh, duh. Like it was like, because I think that's the thing is we know the things we do, but we don't necessarily think as much about why we do the things we do. And for me, understanding why I'm so passionate, for example, I've been working a lot on a course that we're doing in October. And the reason I'm so passionate about that work is that I didn't see anyone else out there teaching it. And it drove me crazy that nobody was talking about this thing that I knew needed to be talked about. And it bugged me to the point where I was like, okay, I'll go make my own thing. And same with my company. I couldn't find a space that felt like, what I wanted to be in the world. So I was like, I got to go create that too. And so that ties in all that creating and making new things, like, which was in my center column. So yeah.
Great.
Love it.
Yeah.
For me, it was, I have optimistic and creative in my non-negotiables. Like it's like people can go through dips and curves, but ultimately that core optimism of I'm going to get through this is a non-negotiable for me. I'm like, because just energy wise, I have to always like know that there is a better day ahead. Right. And the other thing was teaching. In my second column, like I love teaching, but then I love watching women absorb that and put it into place and just cheering them on and seeing them kick ass. It's just like, oh, that's my happy spot. So one of the things that vexes me about like the public speaking training, is that I see a lot of companies that just do it on repetition, but aren't really giving you the tools and tips and tricks to engage and really understand how to connect with an audience. And it just drives me crazy, because that's what helped me, is going through all those theater techniques and going, oh yeah, like that's why this works for me. And so having that step-by-step process, a lot of times it's just like, well, get up there and do this, and I'll get up again. And it's like, yeah, you're getting used to it, but are you becoming great at it? And I have this thing of like, great speakers aren't born, they're trained. Mm-hmm. Just like, you can be trained to like expand. So I didn't see, did you see any shares in the chat?
I just saw some agreement come through, but I would love for folks to share. And as people are sharing, I would say that one thing that I think stands out too is it's like these moments where you see somebody and you're like, I could do that better. And not only that, the one that makes me crazy, especially with the marketing work we do, is when I find out somebody's paying another company. This one probably makes you crazy too, Emily, a bunch of money for something where you're like, this is not good work. Like, this is not, like, for you, Emily, I know it's a thing of beauty. You're like, if it's not beautiful, what are you paying for? And so nothing makes me crazier than finding out like somebody that we're thinking about working with has paid an arm and a leg for marketing services that are not being executed properly and are bad. And so like that little fire of like, I could do that better. Lives into me. That's the little sister in me for sure.
Yeah, I have two thoughts on what you guys shared. I mean, it's so rich. One of them is that, you know, when we go through, we could actually, anger and vexation is a very accessible emotion for us. So it's easy to get like so locked into it, and the trail back through what brings us joy and like what our mission is, or what we're here, and things that are of great value to us sometimes gets lost in that. So there is this perpetual energy that comes from reverse engineering from that irritation into the depth of our soul, and that produces that energy, that forward momentum that we're looking for. And so I think that that's really valuable, and that's part of what the exercise can show us also. And we'll get into this more later, but all of these things that are vexing you and then how you're addressing them can go into content. But not just from the place of, oh, this is a problem and this is how people are stinking at it, but from the place of, this is what I'm here to do in the world. So we'll get into that a little bit more later. Thank you, Megan, for sharing. I know we might gonna go to the next exercise, but share hers. I value growth, and I get joy trying new experiences. And I guess the vex is about my industries. People are stuck in their ways. That's so true. I might need to think more about my vexes for the industry and not the people. Yeah, no, that's good. That's very good work. That's very good work. I think digging into how people are stuck in their ways too might be interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, getting more specific in how they're stuck.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. And I love that it's the value of growth. All right, so next page, we are doing another 3 columns to dive into, and this is going to go towards finding your ideal client. So go ahead and create your 3 columns. All right. In our first column, we are going to just brainstorm as many words as possible of who are you trying to attract in life. And that could be like their profession and what they do. It could be the type of people they are, but really, who are you trying to attract? Who do you think your solution is best fit for? And we have 10 seconds left on that. So if you could wrap it up. All right, in our middle column, if you're diving a little bit deeper into those people that you want to attract, you're now going to take that next level of those people and list the qualities that they should possess that you want to work with. What qualities? Is it somebody that is joyful? Is it somebody that like can really dive deep into a subject? Like what is it about them and the qualities that they should have? So if you could just list the qualities. We have 10 more seconds there. All right, go ahead and wrap that one up. The last column is how can you serve them? How can you best serve them? We'll go ahead and give you 10 more seconds there to wrap it on up. All right. So in these three columns, I don't know if some of you, and please say yes or give me an amen in the in the chat. You may start noticing that the qualities of the people that you want to work with may match some of the non-negotiables for you. right? So you'll start seeing hopefully some alignment of like, hey, these are my non-negotiables, and I also want those in my clients. The nice thing about like really being specific and direct here of what you're looking for is that when you are having that client call and you have this list in front of you, you are interviewing the client whether they are the right fit for you. Right? It is not just you trying to get the sale and you trying to close the deal. It is you interviewing them and looking at your list and going, do they match my non-negotiables? Do they?
Oh, Misty froze for a second. We'll give her about 2 seconds to come back. And I'm going to fill the airtime in the meantime. So where Misty's going here, which I think is so important, is
you turn away everybody that is absolutely not all of the things on your list, but you want to make sure they have majority of the things that are on there.
Hey, Misty, Zoom totally messed up for us. So can you just backtrack us to the moment where you said you're interviewing the client? Because I think this is so important, and I'm just like glad we're getting to emphasize it even that much more, because I think we go into these situations, I see it all the time from a sales perspective, where it's like, I hope they're gonna like me and I hope they're gonna buy what I've got to offer. And we totally, folks approach it from a scarcity mindset. And really there's a position of power here to know who you are and what you aim to offer and the value of what you offer and who you're here to serve. So can you just restate that for us, what that looks like to go in with that interview mentality?
Absolutely, absolutely. So when you have this list and you know what your non-negotiables are as a company and you know the qualities you're looking for in a client, have that in front of you. Like I was saying before Zoom got crazy on us, I guess, it is an interview process for them. It is not just that, like you trying to close the sale. That should not be in your mind. It should be the process of, is this the right client for me? Is this somebody that is going to bring me joy, or is this somebody that's going to give me a headache and want me to do every little thing for them because they don't know how to find some? We've all had those clients. And you will know. It is so great to say, hey, I'm not the right fit for you, but X, Y, and Z might be the right fit for you. And that's okay. That is 100% okay, because you are allowing for more space for the right client to come in. So when you are speaking to them, know that it is an interview for yourself. I do have idealcustomers.mistymegia.com, and it is actually a 4-page interview form that I use when I am interviewing clients, whether they are the right fit for me. So feel free to download that. I'll give it to Madeline too, so she can send it out. But these are just the beginning questions of like your non-negotiables and really what qualities should they absolutely have in order for you to just, every time they send you an email, you go, oh, I get to meet with Emily, or get to meet with Madeline. This is so great. Yay. I'm kind of reinforcing.
I want to throw in too here, because so one of mine is like in my what I put, because we're just trying to refine this, but people have to be like a little bit woo, because we'll say things to people like, no, trust me, if you say no and you're really clear with the universe on who you're not here to serve, as if by magic, 2 people will show up, because you're putting those boundaries up for the universe to say, this is the person who's right for me, and therefore call them in. But if you're not somebody who's going to go, when I say you got to tell the universe, then you're probably not going to be a fit for us in our work, and that's okay. And we also recognize that passing the work on to other people pays off for us in the end in so many ways. But the big thing too, as your team grows, is to make sure your team knows this stuff too. Because I've heard about so many people have folks inside where it's the CEO or somebody who's sales minded, who all they're thinking about is closing deals. And then it gets to the team and the team's like, but this is not the person we said we're after. And so that team can really be an accountability if there's a separation between the person who's doing the selling and the person who's really doing the servicing. So I just wanted to call that out.
Madeline, I love that so much, because I can't tell you how many corporations or, mid-sized to Fortune 500 companies I've been. It is that close the deal, close the deal, close the deal mindset, right? And you're not, like, the client isn't going to be happy either. If they are not the right fit, they are not going to be happy with your services, and it is going to be a clash of services. And so you have to really be intentional about those people that you know are the right fit, that you can absolutely solve their problem, that you like fall in love with their problem and go, I know how to fix this inside and out. And I love that you are optimistic and willing to jump in the deep end and have some fun, right?
I think this is really relevant here, and it's the way that we kind of teach people to change their thinking a little bit at Root and River about this attraction issue, like attracting all the people. Branding and marketing is much more about repelling than it is about attracting, okay? So we kind of have it backwards. What we need to think about is speaking enough truth and holding to our list of non-negotiables so much that it repels the people who do not believe what you believe from the outset, so that they go to your website and they go, oh, no, Madeline's not for me. She's a little too woo-woo for me. Wonderful. That's a beautiful situation to have.
Yes.
We want to be so forward with all of those things that those people never come in and drain our time, resources, and energy. So as you go through these processes and as you look at these lists, really think about, okay, my job is to repel the people who are not a fit for me.
I love that. And Emily, that leads so great into our next thing on making it real. We have like just about 3 minutes left. So let's just tackle this. And what our goal is for you today is to be bold and claim these statements. So we're going to have a little mini challenge for you all. To make it real and take one of your aha moments from today and make a bold statement on social media about, here are the clients that bring me joy. Here is my company's purpose and why we're here. Here is my non-negotiables, and put it out into the world. The thing that I see a lot of companies do, especially smaller entrepreneurs, is they lack confidence in making that strong statement. And sometimes you're your biggest roadblock because you lack that confidence. And I'm telling you, you got this. You 100% got this. And the more times you stake a claim and you let other people know, they start going, oh, and it will start resonating with your prospects 100%. So we gave you a few prompts to like get you started on the social media posts. And Emily, do you want to go through those?
Sure. I'm just responding to Bernice. So prompt number 1. Now, we've given you a lot. You've got these 2 lists. You've got a lot of content here. So here's how you can kind of do this challenge based on these prompts. So the first is my belief, a belief. So this is the non-negotiable. A belief about from my business, my firm, my company, or who I am that I hold most dear is blank. And you can just literally use that language. And let's say it's wonder. That's one of mine. And then maybe you want to go on, or maybe you don't have to. My daughter's always telling me, your posts are way too long, Mom. So you can literally just use that sentence, find an image, hit post. Prompt number 2, I'm trying to attract people who are blank. And we've written about that. So you can use that first list who you're trying to attract into your life, or you can use the qualities of that person to describe them. And again, it can be as simple as that, or if you want to go on and explain a little bit more, definitely can do that as well. Prompt 3, the orange. Things that bring me the most joy are ... I don't know about you, but when I read that, I felt, oh my God, a little vulnerability fear. Like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be vulnerable about sharing what brings me joy. It's actually easier to share what vexes me, right? But I would say this is a great moment to just look at your joy list and share that out with the world. You never know what will turn up. You never know if you're going to teach somebody about something that you enjoy that they might also enjoy, or what might happen. It's a beautiful thing. The last one, the blue. I love serving my clients by. So a lot of times people don't know what to say on marketing. They're like, tired of talking about my services all the time. It feels too salesy. Here's another way to share your passion and your joy for what you do in a way that is not salesy. It's like, you actually just say, I love it when a client has this moment where they're like, that's what I've been trying to say my whole life. Oh, that makes me feel so happy. So just be really honest about what it is about your client process or working with them that you love. And keep it simple, or explain a little bit more, maybe even tell a story. That's a really good one to tell a story. But those are the prompts there. Anything to add? Yeah. What did I miss?
If you like, we're at that hour, so if you need to hop off, go ahead. You won't be missing anything. We're just gonna wrap it up. But I just wanted to let you guys know we're like a minute over. And sorry, it's hard to fit all this in.
I know, and there are some questions that we can tackle if y'all have a couple more minutes to stay on. There were some really good ones that came through. Also, we will share the recording. We're going to share, the slides. We're going to share some beautiful takeaway materials. Everybody who registered, even if they weren't able to make it live, is going to get all those goodies. So, but there was 2 questions that I thought were really beautiful. Here, if we can tackle them real quick, and then we can do call to actions. And are we good to hop off at the hour, both of you? Is that
yeah, I got a few more minutes. Absolutely.
Okay. So one that I loved from Trinity was, is it bad that things like I best serve my clients are the things that I have a hard time implementing myself? And I can relate to this a lot because we've been doing, all of the things when it comes to marketing for our clients, but I can feel like sometimes it's a total case of cobblers, kids, and shoes, that whole story. But what are your thoughts here, Misty and Miss Emily?
Yeah, it is totally normal. It is 100% normal. And to me, I think that gut check is a good one. I don't want to be salesy. And the nice thing is, if you are phrasing it differently, as opposed to you going out there going, hey, I have this like deal going on right now, come sign up. And you're just saying, like, matter of factly, I love serving people who. It's just a statement of fact, right? It's not a sales pitch. It's not anything other than, here is like who I just love working with. And that like is so much more comfortable for a lot of people than saying anything of the marketing sales gimmicks that a lot of other people use. And it's just claiming your space. It's claiming your joy and making a statement that might frighten you a little bit to make. But please tag all 3 of us. I put our social posts in there so we can cheer you on and add to that conversation and just go, amen, for claiming your ground.
Yes.
Another thought on that too is that if there's something within your business that you're struggling with, even though you might provide that service, I think a lot of times, and maybe this is true for all business owners, I think it is, but especially women, we're like, oh, but I'll get to it eventually, or I'll crack down on myself. And I will get this done. Like, maybe that's just a place where you need a little bit more support. So you need to hire someone to help you do that. You need to hire somebody to help you with your marketing. A ton of our clients are actually marketing agencies because they're like, we do this for everyone else, but we can't do it for ourselves. We're like, no problem. We'll work on the brand for you.
Yes.
It's okay. There's absolutely no shame in that. It's that you're pouring all your energy into your clients. Which is good, which is the way it should be.
Yes, totally. And sometimes, when you're pouring that all into clients' work, it's like, you might run out of steam for it, but somebody else can see you as a client that they're totally excited about. So I love
you can receive that, which is great.
Yeah.
There was one other that I want to address real quick is we had a great question here that was, let me see if I can find it. It said, we need to be clear about who we do not want to work with as opposed to who we want to work with. And I think this is really important. I think the answer is a bit of both, but do you, Misty and Emily, want to tackle this and say, what is the difference here, especially from that like attracting versus repelling? How do we prioritize and get clear here?
Yeah, so my bias is always towards going out with a positive message. However, this is one place where I actually like to have both. So if you go to rootandriver.com, you can click on warning label, and that is where we say who we work with and who we don't work with. And it says, we are not for everyone. So that's a great way to do it. Just put it out there. But when you're messaging, I think it's about more who you want to attract. And that's where I would stay for most of your content. But you should know who you're trying to avoid internally. And to Madeline, your point earlier, the team should really know that as well. So that if you have leads coming in, everybody knows who we're for and who we're not.
And it's great if you can give those archetypes a little bit of a sense of who they are. So other things that inform this work internally for us is we think about actual clients. You know, when I was creating that list, some of you might have seen me, I was smiling because I'm thinking about actual humans. And so sometimes if you feel stuck with this work, thinking about who are the clients that you are, like Misty said, so excited to get the email from versus the ones that you're like doing this with, there's a difference there. So think about what those differences are and who they are as a person or the way they treat you or the values you share, because that can really tease that out. And for us too, it really helps us just inform the difference of, again, who are we aiming to attract? Who are we aiming to repel?
Yeah. And on that repel thing, I've seen many people do it quite well on their website of like who we're not for. And you can still do it like kind of tongue in cheek if you want, of like people that don't want to grow their business. That's all right. For T-Sheets, it really was, because when they were saying, we're going to go after all accountants, I'm like, no, the people that understand your product best are the ones that have a mid-sized firm that are using it, because then they can explain it to clients. So we're going after those mid-sized firms. Does that mean that solopreneur firms didn't buy it? No, that didn't. But their ideal candidate was somebody that had a mid-sized firm, somebody that loves to adopt technology. Like if you're not willing to take risks and try new technology, then they weren't the right fit, because then they would download the product and they wouldn't use it. But you want somebody that goes and dives in. So start thinking about your product or your services that you offer and how that client may use it, and whether it is something that they're going to use on a frequent basis or need you on a frequent basis. So you have long-term clients versus like a lot of those one-offs that are, here and gone.
Awesome. Madeline, I see another question came in from Melissa that I'd love to address super fast. She's saying, I love these little finish the thoughts, but I have a hard time thinking about marketing. I'm so not creative. So that's okay. Like we work with people who hate marketing because we kind of do too. So think of it as just, you have a ton of material here in the hour that we put together that you can share. So don't think about it like marketing. Think about it just like finishing these thoughts or filling in the sentences or sharing about your non-negotiables. Each one of those non-negotiables is a post in itself. Just explaining, I believe in truth, and here's why. And then you can tell a story about that. But each one of these little nuggets could be a share. And so just trying to think about it like marketing. Think about it like sharing something you would with a friend.
Amen. And those things, all of those words that you put in your non-negotiables, there is a story and a core reason why that became a non-negotiable for you. And to share that story, it's like the whole brand story, right, is really like magic. That's what people are going to read and lean into and go, oh, and understand you to the core. So I agree with that. Just like going through that list and going, yeah, why do I feel that way? What is the thing that stimulated me to make this a non-negotiable? And I'm with Emily. I'm always trying to be like a more positive person out there. So some of those non-negotiables might be from a really bad experience of like, oh, but that's okay. Madeline is like, I think, phenomenal about mixing those like tough stories that have a beautiful outcome in their end of her Instagram stories. I love it. So look at her for some inspiration. Emily's really phenomenal at that too. And kind of start figuring out what those things are that you feel comfortable to share, but are authentically you and who you are.
Awesome. All right, ladies. Do you want to, so next steps for all these people is finish the thought. We'll give more materials. Find and follow us. Mine, I think, I've got to correct it. It's at Madeline K. Pratt. Actually, we've got a middle initial in there.
All right.
So put in the chat all of our social media handles. Emily, I know a good call to action for you. One, Emily's got an amazing book out, y'all. So she published a book this past year. It is beautiful. It was on my bedside table. It's these essays around modern branding. It was with her business partner, Justin. I highly recommend that. Emily also leads these amazing things called root sessions, which if you're looking to just really dig in and do this work at a deeper level, her team lead those, and I cannot speak highly enough of that work. Misty, what would you say is a good call to action besides just hanging out with you on social media for you? What would you want to share?
Well, I put in there the ideal customers thing. So just download that. That is like my go-to interview pages that I've used for like years and years and years at every company I've worked at to understand really good how who my core audience is. And I will say, if you are brave enough to post and you tag us in it, I will like pull a couple people that have tagged us, and I will be happy to sit with you for a half hour and go over that ideal customer and tell you what each question can help you do in marketing, because it really is not just an interview for the client, but it also is kind of a marketing roadmap once you fill it out.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. What a gift. Well, my only calls to action besides just keeping up with the work with these amazing women is, if you love content like this, we're leading, our Learning Lab session this month is around culture and inclusion. And so if that's a value that popped out for you and you want to do that deeper dive, Learning Lab is our ongoing education program. And then if you want to tie ideal customer and your marketing vision and your core services all together in a big bow around pricing, we're leading a course in October called Pricing for Prosperity, which is all about bringing these ideas to life through owning the value that you bring to the world. So that's what we're up to. If you all were here, you'll be on our email list, which means you'll get all of the follow-up materials and some info about that. But I bow to both of you. Thank you so much. It's an honor to spend this time with you.
Thank you. Yes, Madeline. Thanks, Misty. That was so fun.
Bye. Love you guys. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.